This is the Black Powder Podcast, coming at you live and direct. Your salty tears season my life. It's the Black Powder Podcast. Thank you. And welcome again to a fascinating episode of the Black Powder Podcast, the only real libertarian podcast that has ever existed in the history of mankind. And without further ado, let me introduce you to our host today, starting with me, the only real libertarian, the one that everybody comes to see, Marcus Matthews. Thank you very much. Hold on. And then, as usual, I'm joined by my brother in Liberty, Eric Parker Bull Liberty, formerly of Jacksonville, Florida, now up in the great state of North Carolina. How you doing today, Eric?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on again. I always look forward to this every Thursday night at 9 p.m. or almost every Thursday.
I appreciate it. I appreciate
excited about our guest. We also have a third host if his audio is working.
We'll see. Listen, I'm here for a minute. We'll see how it goes. You're welcome. You just had the best part of your show now, and it's done. You had the opportunity to do it without me, and you missed out.
You blew it again, Marcus.
Yeah.
Again.
Now, today we deviating a little bit away from our normally scheduled libertarian candidates to bring on I guess you would call him what Tub?
No, listen, no, because here's what I want to add to that before you skip on. Let's not forget that he was an elected candidate.
Oh,
so
that's true.
That's a big deal because we can have a bunch of candidates, but this one actually made it in. Okay,
right.
So let's remember. And so, Marcus, once again, we'll try to keep you in the loop of the conversation. Okay, even though you don't fully understand what it's like to get out of the garage and move Liberty. Okay, but we will allow you to now continue to do your part, your little portion of moving Liberty forward. Go ahead.
I've been learned how to spoke.
and read. Speaking of reading, our guest, I don't know if you want to bring him out, but Free State Project Executive Director Eric Brakey. He just recently authored a new book. Eric, good to see you again.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. Thanks for inviting me back on the show.
Awesome. Eric, this is Eric's third time on the show, and he's darn near becoming a regular, and we truly appreciate you sacrificing your time to look at Tub, because I know
that's all I got.
I know firsthand it can be painful.
I mean, here on the East Coast, 9 p.m. It's like almost my bedtime. You guys are keeping me up.
Well,
I'm on Marcus.
It's still pretty early where I am. I'm in the fourth largest economy in the entire world.
Here it is.
It was a brilliant 75 degrees here today, and tomorrow is supposed to be somewhere around 80. And I'm wearing a sweatshirt because 75 degrees is kind of
for a
chilly
black man.
here.
Yeah,
it's like 29 degrees outside here, and I'm in my garage, which has heat, but not very good heat.
Eric's in his garage because that's where he just lives. So, all right, I bet you we have other things to do than this. He's got a book. Good Lord, why are we still talking?
Mr. Brakey, you want to talk about your book? The name of it is The Liberty Candidates Practical Guide to Door Knocking. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. It's actually something I wrote like a while ago and only just got around to finally like hit and publish on Amazon. But It's available. The story behind this book is, for those who know me, I got into politics on the Ron Paul campaign. I ran for the state Senate in 2014. I was like 26 years old. I was nobody thought I had any chance of winning whatsoever. It was a big swing district. I was going up against a like 36-year incumbent who had never lost a race before. He'd been around 10 years longer than I'd been alive. He'd been in politics. And I went out and I knocked on 8,000 doors. I connected with voters. I built a whole door knocking system that I used not just to win that race, but I used to win additional races. And I saw a lot of people who tried to emulate the success that I had. Liberty candidates who went out and they were talking about how many doors they knocked, and then they would lose their race. And I figured, all right, there's something qualitative about door knocking in my system that I put together that other candidates are not quite getting. They're just seeing like knock as many doors as possible. So as I was leaving the Maine Senate to go lead the Free State Project, I decided to put my system down on paper. It started as a PDF that got very popular with Liberty candidates in Maine and across the border in New Hampshire. And I figured as people were sharing this around, I should like put it into a formal book so that Liberty candidates around the country can benefit from it.
Awesome. I wanted to ask you, what was the primary lesson that you took away from your time in office, and how are you bringing that into the Liberty movement?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of ways I could answer that question. I mean, there's things I took away about like the corrupting nature of power. There's things I took away about practical lessons for how you win an election, which is, of course, kind of what I'm trying to give to people who are trying to make a difference. So they're not wasting their time and they know how to be effective. I guess at the end of the day, if you're going to do it, if you're going to put the time and the energy into it, do it to win and to actually make a difference, and not to just have kind of your political involvement be some kind of self-congratulatory masturbatory exercise, which is, I think, frankly, a problem we often have as people in the libertarian movement. Is oftentimes it seems like we only know how to pick losing battles and we pass over the ones we can actually win.
Oh.
So I guess I want to ask, and this, I feel like we always get into this with you on this podcast, but does your book apply to people running within the Libertarian Party? Is it harder? Are there, instead of 8,000 doors, do they got to knock 16,000 to win? Or does the election, the race matter? Is it local, state, federal? Yeah. Could you get into that? Does your book talk about that?
So the book is oriented more towards local races, because as a federal candidate, which I've done twice, you can't knock enough doors in your district by yourself to make a difference. Other people can go and do that, and volunteers and all that, but this is really oriented towards a candidate who is running in a district that is small enough that it is conceivable that you can knock at least the most important doors that you need to knock. So it goes through kind of 13 rules, like how you know which doors to knock, how to have quality interactions with people, how not to come off like a autistic,
how to come up not as a libertarian. So.
Right? It's like I certainly want to abolish the Federal Reserve, but that is not what I knocked on the door and said, let me tell you about why I'm going to be your state senator. We're going to end the Fed, right? I would actually go to the door and I would say, hey, I'm running to represent you. By the way, you have such nice flowers. Do you put a lot of work into those flowers? Right? And then they want to talk to you about the flowers. And then you got their vote. So that's connecting with people on a human level, on a neighborly level, even beyond just kind of politics. Most people, most voters, right, don't even really think about politics all the time. And when they're thinking about who they're going to vote for, they want someone that they feel like they trust on a human level more than just someone who checks the box on issues here and there. So anyway, that's all in the book. It's a quick read, like 30-minute read. If you really want to.
Even for Marcus?
No comment. No comment. I've never gauged his responsibility.
Reading level. Well,
you said it's got the smartest people up there in New Hampshire. So I'm like, maybe that's why Marcus is wearing a sweatshirt out in California, because
it's cold. It was literally like 73, 74.
We are.
That's the reason we're going to use about why you're not allowed to go there. Is that it's cold. Hey, let me ask you something.
Can I do want to say one thing real quick, just to get to the actual. I think I dodged your question a little bit. For applicability for people in the Libertarian Party, I would say read it, learn what you can from it. My advice generally is, though, if you want to win, the Libertarian Party is not the vehicle to do it. So, but you can still learn a lot. And it's just when part of the thing with being realistic about how to win is understanding that, like, in the generic district, 30% of the people are voting R no matter what, 30% are voting D no matter what. And you're at a real strong advantage if you have the R or the D next to your name, and then you just need to pick up what's left on the table. But anyway, so I think that's why, at least for the partisan races, like state legislative races, we have a lot more track record of winning when libertarians are running as Republicans. But I know there are a lot of victories that are happening in local races and nonpartisan races for city councils and mayorships and school boards. And I commend the Libertarian Party having success there. And in those cases, you know, there's a lot you could take from this book and apply to win.
So there's actually two things. Like, so one in particular is, so like my district here for city council. So they don't even run a Republican in the race. Usually you'll have 3 or 4 Democrats. They all fight it out.
And it is partisan.
Yeah, it's partisan. And so like part of the thinking, I actually got a meeting coming up on Tuesday. And part of the thinking, like if I was to run in this district, is, okay, well, here's the thing. I'll probably get the Republicans because I'm just not Democrat. And that's a good win for them. And I kind of lean that way anyway. And then at that point right there, because I don't have Republican, because I don't have the R next to my name in a district like mine, I have the opportunity to pick up some D's that just are just like, okay, I'm not really happy with what's going on. But if I had that Republican R, that would just squash it from the very beginning, because anything but that, basically. So, but let me ask you this, though, specific to the book. So you talk about go knocking doors. Like you said, so many go and knock on thousands of doors and still lose the race. What did you find? Is it the way that just knocking on a door doesn't mean that you're effective at it? You know what I'm saying? Just knock, like you said, and the Fed. Okay, that's not going to, they're done. They're going to check out on you immediately. So is there something that you found that maybe libertarians, we'll say libertarians in particular, that when they would go to door knocking, do you find that there's something they tend to do that doesn't come across well? That maybe even mentioned in the book, like, hey, dude, don't do this to be effective.
Yeah. So there's a number of questions you need to answer for yourself. First, you need to figure out what is your list of like, who are the people you're targeting, right? Because many districts, you know, I know some small districts where people say, I will knock on every door in the district. And it's like, okay, maybe you physically can do that. But if you're knocking on the doors of people who are never going to vote for you, no matter what you do, then you're just reminding them there's an election. You're turning people out to vote against you. So that's not a good idea to do. If you're knocking on the doors of, so anyway, you really want to figure out who is your universe of like persuadable voters and base voters. And you want to knock on those doors, the people you can win over and the people you got to remind there's an election, because if they show up, they're going to vote for you. And so once you have that list together, then you have to have the actual interactions at the door too. And the ultimate thing is you want to be a neighbor. You want to be a human being first. You don't want to be a politician. One of the best pieces of advice that was ever given to me is actually something I learned from a theater teacher in high school, which is you'll make more friends in 5 minutes by taking a genuine interest in other people than you'll make in a lifetime trying to get other people interested in you. And I think we as libertarians especially need to understand that we need to be human beings. We need to be neighbors. We need to take a genuine interest in what the voter cares about, what their concerns are, and meet them where they are and see where we can bring kind of libertarian, liberty-based answers to those problems.
If you allow people to speak, they'll tend to ultimately tell you what they need, even if they're not knowing that they're telling you what you need. Because so many times we walk into the saying, oh, I think you need this. And I've talked on here many times about how I failed miserably one time when I was running. Like I had a completely, in my mind, I thought I knew what was going to be their issues for these people I was talking to. wasn't even close.
Yeah.
And I learned that. I'm like, okay, don't make that assumption. Take the time to find out, because so many times, and maybe libertarians are worse at it, or for it, I should say, that we tend to go and say, let me tell you what you don't like and what you need and what you don't need. And that's not the way to go about it. Truly, is what you said. You go up, let them talk. You know what I'm saying? Don't feel like you have to control all of it. They'll probably mention something that you go, hey, I have an answer for that, or whatever it happens to be. They might reveal it to you if you, what I usually refer to as, sometimes you shut up. And you go ahead. Sometimes I'll shut up. Go ahead.
Well, that's actually rule 5 of my 13 rules, which is 2 ears and 1 mouth. God gave you 2 of one and 1 of the other for a reason. So you should listen a lot more and shut up a lot more. The voter cares a lot more about what they think than what you think. And if you are listening to them and genuinely responding to what they think, they'll be impressed with you.
Like in my world, because I'm a pastor, so in my world, it works with witnessing in Christianity also. Because if you go and you just hit them over the head with Jesus, they don't want that. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear all those things.
Yeah,
but if you just have a conversation with them, just talk. And if you just treat them as I used to say, treat them like a person. Just have a conversation with them. And once again, at some point, something will be revealed and you go, oh, there's my in, if you will. And it works also when running for office. Just listen to people and let them talk. And at some point, they're probably going to say, hey, I really don't like this. And you go, well, son of a gun, I have an answer for that.
Yeah, I want to send a quick shout out to some of our viewers right now. Free, Terry, Amity, the Scientific Libertarian. Thank you all for chiming in with your comments. Please keep them coming. If you have any questions for Mr. Brakey, we'd greatly appreciate those too. This guy's doing a lot for the liberty movement, and so we want to hear from you. Eric, you got something?
I just wanted
one more thing. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's Eric. Yeah, be a little more specific.
I'm going to call him Mr. Brakey, and I'm going to call you E Money Parker. How about that?
I mean, if we're going into like prefix, I think it's technically like my statist religious holy title is the honorable. You know,
oh yeah, that's right. You're
the honorable Eric Brakey. You know, once you get one of these religious positions, even though it's a very dishonorable profession, you get like the honorable in front of your name for the rest of your life. So
that's pretty. I need to remind myself to call you that. I'll probably forget.
No, you don't. I'm just teasing.
But I want to talk about one thing real quick. Earlier this week, I was on.
Look right here. Look right here. I go. I want everybody to see. I'm proceeding to check out.
Look, it's credit card information. Zoom in.
Lucky I can afford the book. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's
so
only
what was it? The $9.99. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's basically $10.
I just spent $10.
You can get free shipping with Amazon.
Hey.
$10, and the proceeds go to support the Free State Project.
Oh,
so
I just gave $10 to the Free State Project.
There you go. That's awesome.
So and, we have our
Tub. If you were already filed as a candidate, that could have been a campaign expense. But
the $10. I guess I'll have to eat that loss. I guess.
Yeah, that'll make or break that guy. So we got our first question here. Do you think the Libertarians might have an easier time winning seats under the party banner if they didn't have to explain the LPNH's nonsense? I guess this is directly at New Hampshire, because the LP New Hampshire is kind of they're kind of weird. I got to be honest with you.
I would say I would say LPNH is not your problem for why you can't win seats as a Libertarian Party candidate. The problem is math.
Yeah. And I think it's messaging as well. I don't think libertarians do a good enough job with the messaging, and too many times they let the duopoly say who they are, describe them. So that's
yeah, but I would say it's not even a problem of messaging. I mean, messaging could always be better. You know, certainly debates about which state affiliates messaging, this or that. But the problem is math. The problem is, we complain about the duopoly, but the rules of the system are written by the duopoly, and it's a duopoly election system. So it's this has always kind of been one of my critiques for my LP friends who I love so much. I think their heart's in the right place, but it's just like, you can be the third largest political party in America, but when you're in a two-party system, it's like, it's musical chairs. You're not going to have a chair. So I've always been an advocate. It's a much more effective road if the goal is to win elections, is to co-opt the machinery of one of the two major parties. And of course, in New Hampshire, we've done that with the Republican Party. And frankly, I will say, part of the reason why LPNH is the way that it is because the people who are the most interested in like being politically effective and winning races are doing that through the Republican Party. And so there's kind of a natural like sorting of like the people who are the most contrarian, who are the least interested in actually winning races, have filtered into LPNH. So anyway, there are many, many tribes of libertarians and free staters in New Hampshire. LPNH is not a representative of the whole movement. No, they are. They do have a decent following. But we've like the progressive statists in New Hampshire complain all the time that the free staters have taken over the Republican Party and the state legislature, and they're not wrong. Our biggest advertisers are the people who hate us as we keep advancing freedom here. So LPNH is one group, and there are many, many more.
So we had a guy on here about a year ago, Justin Amash, and he ran as a Republican, but stayed within the liberty-minded focus and caucus. And the Republicans ran his ass out of Congress effectively because he was an independent thinker. Now, we also, our former host, ran
Michael
as a libertarian. Yeah. And when they told him to run as a Republican, they were telling him, we need somebody like you because they just tell us how to vote on the bills. We don't even read what they say, what the bills say or anything of that regard. Is when leadership says this is a yes vote, that's the yes vote. And they wanted somebody like him in the party, in the caucus, because he would read the bills and vote his conscience. But I don't know if that would have been truly successful for him either. So what's your take on trying to work inside the crocodile, so to speak?
Well, I think there's a lot more opportunity to have a much bigger difference on the state level than on the federal level. I mean, on the federal level, right, they hardly even vote on anything. It's just like there's no single subjects. It's just like, here's the omnibus, up or down, written by 4 leaders of the different party caucuses. So it's kind of like, even if you get in there as a Republican or a Democrat, unless you're like really good at using the bully pulpit, it's kind of a joke to be there. And to Justin Amash, who I have tremendous respect for, and he's always welcome in New Hampshire. I really respect his time in the arena. I will say he was run out of the Republican Party not because he was an independent thinker, which he is an independent thinker, but he was run out because he supported the impeachment on the whole kind of Russiagate Ukraine stuff, which is one of the few times I feel like I've really disagreed with him. There's a lot of reasons to be very critical of Donald Trump, but I thought that was kind of
wasn't it. Yeah, just wait. You wait another week and
I thought that was like stepping on the rake. Whereas Thomas Massey is now being kind of run out by, or they're trying to run him out. Right, Trump is trying to run him out. I don't think he's going to succeed. Thomas Massey has managed to really kind of maintain intense loyalty from the Republican base because I think that he picked his battles. He's picked his battles wiser in a way to maintain his principles and also kind of differentiate himself from the party and from kind of Trump, like when it matters and makes a difference. So. But anyway, I say that with love and respect for Justin Amash, who I was just speaking with the other day, and have tremendous respect. I respect anyone who's been in the arena. It's a very difficult job. What was the other? I'm trying to remember. What was the other question? There was another question in there somewhere. I've slipped.
Marcus tends to hide his questions in a 6-minute monologue.
I think I just did the answer in like a 6-minute monologue. So I'm not one to criticize.
Yeah, but we got to hear Marcus's every week. We only get to hear yours once a year, so.
Well, last year was twice. To be fair,
yeah,
he came on twice last year.
I think I missed both of those. To be honest with you, I don't think I think this is the first time I've been on with you.
No, you were there both.
I was on the last one. I was the last one. Okay,
I think
the first
you were there.
I know I wasn't.
Tub is very forgettable.
I didn't forget him. He's the one who's forgetting me.
I just wanted to throw a shot out. I just wanted to throw a few shots at Tub. I know,
you dummy.
I know, but I'm still going to throw some shots out at you.
But it's not even valid. All right, so listen.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. It looks like, and maybe I've got this all wrong, okay? Which I don't. Shut up, Marcus. So with the Free State Project, it seems like you guys are trying to do more than just political. It seems like you guys, maybe this is what's different. It seems like you guys are working on community also. So it's not just let's come up here and do all this political stuff. It looks like you guys are saying, hey, come on in. Let's do community together. And we'll be the example of what we're trying to get done, I guess, politically, for lack of a better way to say it. So is that true, or am I just misunderstanding?
No, that's a very astute observation. I mean, the Free State movement is having an impact on the culture and the politics of the state of New Hampshire. And we build libertarian community in a way that I don't think you can say exists anywhere else in the country. We have basically the effect of having a concentration of so many thousands and thousands of libertarians, and what is a small population state and a geographically small state too, means that we have like libertarian clubhouses and community centers like all over the state that are hubs for like Free Stater potlucks and you know, art talent shows and D&D groups and whatever different hobbyist things that may have nothing to do directly with liberty, but you're doing these kinds of activities in community with people who share your values. I mean, one of my favorite things to do in New Hampshire is there's like a rucking group every Sunday of like Free Stater libertarians, and we just like go hiking for 5 miles with like weighted backpacks, and it's like really great. And sometimes we're just hiking along, like talking about like what men talk about, you know, the Roman Empire. That's what we all talk about, right?
I was gonna say, I don't know if I talk about the Roman Empire.
That's the meme.
Maybe it's because I don't go hiking. If I'm out hiking, I discuss the Roman Empire more. Let me ask you a question though. So your goal, I don't know if it's still the same, is kind of draw people there. Like, come on up and let's do this thing. When people get there, okay, because libertarian, let me try to say this as nice as I can. Libertarians tend to have a certain kind of identity, if you will. And so when you draw them in, what are you finding when they get there? Because let's say I move. Let's say Eric. Eric's young. Yeah. He's got a young family. So when Eric moves there, Eric says, I'm coming up. What is he going to do to care for his family and stuff still? Like, how do you get in, and what makes it worth going up there? If I'm going to go there and go, I can't find a job, I can't take care of my family, I was better off to stay in Eric's case, North Carolina. What do they do when they get there?
Well, first of all, I would say you should find a job.
Okay.
you should find ways to kind of be self-sufficient and find a job and find housing. These are things you have to secure for yourself. But we do have pretty low unemployment rate, and depending on your field, there's a lot of opportunities up here. And we also have one of the best like professional licensing reciprocity, where if you're licensed in a particular trade in a different state, it's easier. New Hampshire is one of the states that most recognizes licenses from other states. But I would say then you come up here, and like the first things to do are come to like different clubhouses around the state, host new mover potlucks every month. It's a great kind of first place to come and kind of meet people in the community and start to find your tribe. And, there are, what people often don't appreciate is just how many different tribes of libertarians there are here. And many of them hate each other.
Yeah.
Right. But that's fine, because there is a lot of people there. And frankly, and the bigger the Free State movement grows, the one thing we have in common is, Jay, it's just basically a shared belief in the non-aggression principle. There are so many more questions for life and society and community beyond just that. But to even just get people who agree on the non-aggression principle, that creates a certain kind of common basis that we can build upon. But then you find your tribe, you find the people who have interests in what you're interested in. And if there are people you don't like, you don't have to associate with them, because you're going to find the people who are kind of what you're looking for.
I tend to tell people, I say, listen, if you want to know about a libertarian, you better go talk to that libertarian, because he's probably going to be different than the one that's right next to him that he doesn't even like. So do me a favor real quick, if you can, or actually it doesn't have to be quick. Explain the clubhouses. Explain how they're made up, what they do, what their function is, like their overall purpose.
Yeah. So the original clubhouse in New Hampshire is a place called the Quill, and it's in Manchester, New Hampshire. And it's a building now. It's owned by Free Staters in the community there. It's been around for, I don't know, somewhere between a decade or 2 decades. But it's basically, it serves as like a community center. People are members of the Quill. You pay kind of monthly membership dues, and then you can use the space for all kinds of things. We do a lot of our volunteer nights there. We do potlucks there. We do one of my favorite events that happens there periodically is called Artsy Fartsy, where basically people just come and they share kind of artistic talents. I've done some poetry reading and done some, people sing songs and stuff. Anyway, it's a community hub. And it has been so successful at serving as a community hub for Free Staters in the Manchester area that other clubhouses have been built up by Free Staters in different regions of the state. Now, I'm over in the Seacoast in Dover near the Maine border, and our clubhouse here is called The Shell. On Valentine's Day, February 14th, The Shell is going to be hosting Robbie the Fire Bernstein for a stand-up comedy night. The Shell hosts a lot of things like stand-up comedy nights and potlucks, and you go up into the North Country, and there's a Liberty Clubhouse up in Lancaster, right, kind of where PorcFest has historically been, called the Pine. And then there are other clubhouses kind of throughout the state. It's all things that are kind of built up by people in the community where they are. And I think the existence of a clubhouse in a particular region is a demonstration that there's enough a concentration of Free Staters in one place for people to get organized and to have a physical location to build community.
So I'm guessing oh, go ahead, Eric.
Well, I was going to ask real quick, or not real quick, off the top of your head, do you know the county with the highest population, or the, I guess, most average libertarians per capita? Off just a guess, maybe a county or a region. I don't know.
I would say that if you're just kind of looking in sheer numbers, Manchester is the most active. The Manchester area, I think, has the biggest concentration of folks, and it tends to be a lot of people's first stop when they move to New Hampshire. Manchester, the biggest city in the state. And kind of different regions also kind of have different kind of Free Stater cultures. So you go west towards the Vermont border, you've got Keene, New Hampshire, and the Keene libertarians have their own kind of reputation of being, that's where Free Talk Live, and I think you kind of get a much more kind of more hardcore anarchist flavor out there. You go up into the North Country, which is much more rural, and you get a lot more, I think, more the conservatarians and family-oriented libertarians and more religiously oriented libertarians up there. So if you were looking to move to New Hampshire, and you're kind of looking for kind of what's your region, I would say, what are your cultural preferences? What kind of experience are you looking to have? And I really would encourage people before they make the move to come for a visit. And we have our big events going on, like the New Hampshire Liberty Forum, which I encourage people to come out March 5th through the 8th. A lot of great speakers coming to that. People can find out more about that, nhlibertyforum.com. Use my discount code PorkReport. You'll save 5% on your tickets. But year round, there's we have Free State Liberty events basically happening in different corners of the state pretty much every single day. And if you go to fsp.org and you look at our community calendar, you can see that for yourself. There's something happening almost every single day in New Hampshire. And if so, you could literally pick a week, any week, and you could come for a 1-week porcupine vacation. In fact, our friends at one of the places I would classify as a clubhouse, the Independence Inn, they operate a bed and breakfast, and they exist basically to welcome visitors who are looking to explore the Free State. And it's run by Free Staters, and they will kind of point you in the right direction for how to connect with different communities and find events and maximize your experience on your trip. So that's nhindependenceinn.com, I think that is. But if you tell them the Free State Project sent you, they'll give you 50% off your stay.
Wow.
They literally exist. Like they make their money off of like the non-Free Staters who they charge full price to. But
so they fleece them and give us the break.
Right.
That's the way it should be.
Exactly. They exist. They want to get people to move to New Hampshire, and they know that if you come and you visit and you get a chance to actually experience the different Free State communities and the different event offerings, that's what makes the sell to people, when they can see it and experience it for themselves. Because nothing like this exists anywhere else in the country.
Yeah, like okay, so I'm going to kick you back to the clubhouse thing again, because that community, like I said, community seems to be the point. It seems like they're going to kind of, it almost sounds like your clubhouse is the hub, and all the spokes will kind of run off of that. Now, I don't know if that's intentional. What is let's call it a hierarchy. What is the hierarchy of these clubhouses? Like, how are they managed? Like, is somebody like hired on to be responsible for this, or is it all voluntary? Like, how does it work?
So different clubhouses kind of have their own different, like they're all independently operated, right? It's not like it's not like the Free State Project Inc. operates these clubhouses. They're all kind of, these are kind of examples in spontaneous order in the fact that there just were enough Free Staters in a particular region at a particular time that just said we could really benefit from having a physical location and a clubhouse, and they pooled their resources. They brought it together. They, through membership dues, they do it. And I think at various times, like I think at the Quill, it's like literally existed as like a fraternal order. And the Fraternal Order of the Porcupine.
The Porcupine. Okay.
Yeah. And then some clubhouses are run more hierarchically. Like I know a clubhouse in Concord called the Prickle that is basically like it's a married couple and they want to start a clubhouse. It's like at their home that they've got kind of like a downstairs area that they open up as a clubhouse. They don't have like memberships in the same way, but they're a clubhouse. They host events all the time. So different clubhouses are organized in different ways, but the Quill in Manchester, the Shell in the Seacoast, the Pine up in the North Country, these are all kind of more membership driven.
And so is that the goal? Are they finding that because here's the thing, if you move to a strange, I was going to say country, but yeah, it's the same thing, it's New Hampshire. So if you move up there and you don't know anybody, like you probably don't know people when you get there. So are you finding that's because of like when somebody comes up there new, you're going like, hey, here's a clubhouse. Like here's some people who might be similar to you. So are you using these as basically almost recruitment also? Kind of like, hey, you can come up here and you can kind of find your people right away.
Yeah. So the clubhouses are very great for kind of as a hub for that. And I know like in particular, like very popular event is the Manchester monthly New Movers Potluck, where we encourage new movers to come out and meet the community and introduce themselves. And then from there, you find people who are working on different projects and you find what you want to plug into. But not every region has a clubhouse, you know, if you're like in the Lakes region, but they have like regular meetups at different restaurants. There's ways to really, whatever region you're in, like there's community there, and it is a culture that is built around welcoming new people, because the whole purpose of the Free State movement is to get new people to move, to plug into the community, and to build impressive things for liberty.
And statewide, how many people would you say are in this? We're in the thousands? Oh yeah,
well, estimates vary because not every libertarian wants to register themselves and be put on a list.
Yep.
But I would say about 10,000 over the course of the last 23 years have made the move. And There's also many kind of native libertarians who we welcome and encourage to get involved. And, whether I like to call them our native free staters, right? People are welcome in the community, whether they were born in New Hampshire or they moved to New Hampshire, as long as we share the same vision of we'd like to live in a society where the maximum role of government is protecting life, liberty, and property.
So you're not necessarily a libertarian group then, correct?
Well, I don't know what you mean by necessarily a libertarian group.
Well, because so you wouldn't say, hey, you got to be kind of libertarian to be with us. Like, let me ask you this. If a Republican is on board with this thinking, they go, no, I like what you're doing. I like the idea of freedom. I like the idea of having this community of people. It doesn't make any difference, right? You're saying that we don't care. Like,
well, what is a Republican? What is a libertarian? Our standard is everyone who's a free stater has signed something called our statement of intent. And the statement of intent is basically two things. One, you intend to live in New Hampshire, and two, you agree to take the maximum practical efforts towards building a free society where the maximum role of government is protecting life, liberty, and property. Some people want even less government than that, and that's fine. But the maximum role of government, the upper limits of what we tolerate, is a government that protects life, liberty, and property. So basically the mission statement of the Declaration of Independence. And I do try to sell a lot of the more freedom-oriented Republicans, particularly since we've been kind of taking over the Republican Party in New Hampshire, that they're really free staters if you think about it, and they should get on the team.
I have a question. Can I? So if somebody wants to move to New Hampshire,
can I?
Well, it's a real quick question. How's the barbecue? I mean, how's your smoked meats up there in New Hampshire?
You're really going to make me answer that one?
It's not going to play out to your favor.
It's not Marcus. Great. It's not great, Marcus. All right.
I was just wondering.
I did live down in Texas for like a year and a half, and I got to experience some really good barbecue. And I think it's we just don't have the space for like cattle ranching, and everything. So it's not quite the same. But
barbecue is not a New England thing. Like I moved down here.
I'm just saying, if I want to live somewhere, there has to be some delicious smoked meat within 25 miles of where I live. I'm just saying this might be an idea for the Black Powder podcast to move up there and open a.
How about some delicious boiled lobster?
That is not the same.
How about clam chowder?
Yeah, like Amity said, nothing beats Texas barbecue. The scientific libertarian said about the clubhouses, he says that sounds dangerously close to being a Canadian.
You're kind of close.
Was Canadians in particular have clubhouses and Americans don't?
I don't know. Idea.
Never been.
Yeah. I don't consort with Canadians.
We don't even eat their bacon.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay. So what's the long-term goals? Or let me say it this way.
Yeah.
So let's say a bunch of people move there and they make the communities. Like I hate to keep going back to the communities, but this really has my interest. So they
you're right to go to the communities. That's the most basic, most vital thing of this. Everything flows from building the communities, right?
Okay. So all right, never mind. Then I don't feel bad. I'm gonna keep going back to communities. Okay. So if they go up there and they get plugged into the communities, but they go, hey, you know what? I'm not trying to do any political stuff. I don't even care about voting. I don't care what you guys are doing. I'm not going to go support candidates. I want to be a part of the community. Is that a deterrent for you guys? You're like, no, dude, bring the community, bring the same thinking. Like if you're going to be the community, you have to have the right thinking, obviously.
I mean, there are free staters who are completely like, they don't participate in politics.
They're apolitical.
Certainly there are.
Okay.
I personally would encourage those people to like, could you at least like come out and vote for like good people when they're on the ballot, right? But there are, I think, a big kind of ethic in the free state movement is that there are many different paths to advance liberty. And so our statement of intent, which by the way, anyone can go to our website at fsp.org and sign the statement of intent. You don't have to live in New Hampshire. In fact, it started as something for people who were intending to move to New Hampshire. So if you intend to move to New Hampshire and want to be a part of this, go sign our statement of intent. And if you're not ready for that, just sign up for our weekly email newsletter, which comes out every Sunday. And watch my weekly podcast, The Porcupine Report, Wednesdays at 7.
Excellent.
Anyway, what was I saying there? Oh,
we were talking about they don't get involved politically.
Yeah. So, right. Look, I took the political path to try to advance liberty, and I made a pretty big difference in Maine. I passed some good laws, constitutional carry, and welfare reform, and medical cannabis, and all kinds of things. Right to try. I'm very proud of those things. But some people, right, over the course of the last decade, made significant contributions by pioneering Bitcoin, or building up homeschooling networks, or developing off the grid living systems, right? There are a lot of different ways to build up liberty. And politics, frankly, is at best, it is defensive. It is trying to push out of the way negative institutions that are interfering in the exercise of our liberty. But to build a real free society, we can't just have total vacuums of institutions. We need to build up the parallel voluntary institutions that will replace these statist institutions. That work is just as important, if not more so. So while we're doing a very good job of getting people elected to the state legislature and repealing, statist power structures, it's just as important that we have so many free staters building up the alternative systems that are going to replace them.
Because that right there is where libertarians fail. They come in, we're going to wipe all of this out and figure it out after. No, you have realistically, in a real world scenario, people won't give up all kinds of stuff to go into chaos. Yeah. If you give them an alternative, and this is what I like about what's happening there, is you're kind of showing them, hey, if we get government out of our way, we can show you how it's already working if we keep government out of the way. It's already being practiced. And so all you're basically telling them is, hey, help us get into office so that we can keep government out of the way so that our free living lifestyles over here can continue to flourish and set the example, which is where we tend as libertarians to fail. We just want to wipe it out or threaten wiping everything out. And there's always they say it with everything, replace it with nothing. Well, that scares people more than you think. A lot of people aren't sitting there going, yeah, tear it down so we can have anarchy after that will shut people out immediately. Most people want a level of structure inside of their lives. So when you're able to say, hey, if we get rid of this, look at these groups that we have throughout the state. They're doing it. Now, what are you finding, though, is your biggest hindrance? Like what inside the state is really preventing you from just this thing busting out of control? Like what would you say is the hindrances?
Well, I think we are busting out of control.
Okay.
I mean, I think that the Free State movement in New Hampshire is like a snowball rolling down the hill, right? It gains more and more momentum over time. It keeps growing larger and larger, and the momentum is behind us now. You could have one bad election year, and certainly, Donald Trump and Republicans at the federal level are not doing us any favors by being total dipshits, and not following through on any of the good things that they promised they were going to do, and following through on all the bad things they said they might do. So that, you never know. I mean, New Hampshire is still kind of a swing state, even though we've got Republican control of the state government, and the Liberty faction of the Republican Party in New Hampshire now controls the House and is a growing force in the Senate. So, I know there's a lot of libertarians out there who hear the R word and instantly recoil, but you just need to think of it as political machinery that we are co-opting with libertarians.
Mm-hmm. What's your 10-year plan? What's it look like in the next 10 years?
Well, my plan is to just keep bringing in more and more libertarians. I mean, if we keep building the numbers here, the success becomes more and more inevitable. So I try not to have a central plan. I don't think it's my place to have a central plan and say, like, this is what the Free State movement is going to do. I think it's up to individuals to come here and decide for themselves. Like, I believe very much in spontaneous order, and it's just the power of the concentration strategy and the networking effect of having so many of the best libertarians in one place working with each other and sometimes working against each other, but steel sharpening steel, you get some very amazing things. It's why New Hampshire basically is where the cryptocurrency Bitcoin revolution was born. It's not to say that Bitcoin wasn't invented here, but like this is where like all of the early pioneers of Bitcoin, you go to like back to 2013, 2014, like they were at the New Hampshire Liberty Forum, which we are still hosting to this day, March 5th through the 8th. And like this is where, a friend of mine like programmed the very first Bitcoin ATM here, which now they're everywhere, right? That crypto revolution happened here in New Hampshire because of the networking effect of the Free State Project concentration strategy. It is why New Hampshire is leading on Defend the Guard, right? The New Hampshire House of Representatives is the first lower chamber in the country, and it just did it for the second time to pass Defend the Guard legislation. We're going to call National Guard troops home from wars that Congress hasn't declared. And that's a Republican, majority body that's passing that under a Republican president saying we want to take away the Republican president's authority to send our National Guard off into wars that Congress isn't weighing in on. I mean, I think that kind of shows something's a little bit different here than just kind of the normal partisanship that runs a lot of politics in most states. So I want to get more people here. I want them to build interesting things. I want us to have New Hampshire be the demonstration case to the world that a real free society works. It delivers peace and prosperity. And maybe other states will learn and emulate from what we do here. That would be great. I am increasingly skeptical as time goes on, however, that people can be educated out of statism. And I think there are so many liberty lovers out there, this remnant who still understand what that 1776 spirit is about. If we can just gather the people up who already agree with us and bring them to New Hampshire, we will have our libertarian homeland, and we will be able to take all these ideas that have only existed in theory for decades and decades and put them into practice, like we're doing with alternative currencies, like we're doing with education, freedom, and school choice, Defend the Guard, things that we never saw a pathway to practically before. The pathway exists in New Hampshire.
Is there a place for the only real libertarian there? Would Marcus be welcome, or would he be too much libertarian for y'all?
Probably too much.
He's too much.
Yeah, way too much. But I wanted to go to
black. Just kidding.
That's listen for New Hampshire.
Hey, I'd increase that to 3% if I showed up there because I'm pretty tall. But I do think there's hope for the future because young people are moving away from the duopoly. I read an article about that, and being I have two early 20-year-old kids, neither one of them, they're both registered to vote. Neither one of them said I can register as a Democrat or a Republican. I guess I raised them right because I always told them to be independent thinkers, but neither one of them looks at Democrats or Republicans in the same light. Let's say my generation, Generation X, the best generation that has ever. Generation X is the Chuck Norris of generations because nobody talks shit about us because they know what's going to happen. You're going to get punched in the mouth. If we're real life people, not the social media stuff. But I do have hope for the future that young people will be moving away from the duopoly. So I think there's that.
I mean, I would love to think that you're right, but I just think the hard thing is that the rules of the system are designed in such a way to steer people back to the duopoly, right? Because people are so often voting not for the person they love the most, but against the person they fear and hate the most. Yeah. Right. And, so many people voted for Donald Trump, including myself. Right. Not because of agreed with him on everything or we loved everything he was about, but just because the alternative seems so much worse. It's sadly that's in this kind of first past the post election system. Like that is what the game is rigged to steer us towards. So.
Real quick, as we rapidly come up on an hour, and I don't know if we were planning on going late, could you kind of talk about the New Hampshire Liberty Forum? I know you've mentioned it several times, but what's that all about? How can people find out more. The big drop some names, tell everybody what to expect on that, please.
Yeah. So the New Hampshire Liberty Forum has been going on since 2007, every single year. It is our a lot of people know about the Porcupine Freedom Festival. This is our other annual big flagship event. It's more of a conference and a place for ideas and discourse. It's going to be in Concord, New Hampshire, which is our state capital, March 5th through the 8th. Here are some of the names of some names you might know that are coming and speaking and participating. And by the way, our theme this year is Build Freedom. We're looking to talk about actual practical things we can do here and now or in a realistic future to build freedom, not just complain about all the things that are wrong in the world, because in New Hampshire, we have a place we can actually put solutions into practice rather than just complain about Washington, D.C. and everything that's going bad. So we're one of our Friday keynote speaker. We're excited. Scott Horton is joining us. He's going to be talking about how we can build freedom from the war machine. Matt Kibbe is joining us from Free the People. Economist Bob Murphy from the Mises Institute. Jeremy Corden, who is CEO of Goldback, alternative gold-based currencies. Elizabeth Nolan Brown from Reason Foundation will be joining us to talk about how we can use journalism to build freedom. The kind of lead physician in the main direct primary care network, which is kind of restoring direct doctor-patient relationships, Dr. Michael Champy will be joining us. And we'll be even hearing from probably one of the most effective libertarian state legislators in the country, which is the House Republican Majority Leader, Jason Osborne, who came to New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project, is like a Rothbardian economist. And he has been kind of leading the libertarian-controlled New Hampshire House of Representatives for several cycles now, and has steered through gun rights and school choice and tax abolition. He'll be talking about the state of the New Hampshire legislature, which is something I think every state should learn from, the amazing experiment that's happening here in the New Hampshire state legislature.
It's a pretty good list of speakers there. Do you have a pastor speaking on Sunday morning before the brunch?
I know one of those.
I was plugged for Tub. If you don't, maybe he'll fly up to New Hampshire to speak.
Well, you will be welcome. You'll be welcome here to come and say a prayer for us. But no, y'all are welcome. I did mention, when we were off air, we do have a media room this year, and we are welcoming podcasters and independent media who'd like to come and produce content there. There'll be opportunities to interview many of the speakers we have coming through. We haven't even announced all of our speakers, so there will be names that will be announced that I haven't been able to say tonight, including some big names. And I just, again, everyone who loves liberty is invited. NHLibertyForum.com. Get your tickets and discount code for your audience. If they would like to save some money, you can save 5%. Use my discount code Pork Report. That's pork with a C, not a K. It's short for porcupine. Pork Report. That's also the Porcupine Report is my weekly podcast on Wednesdays.
Oh, look, there's Free right there saying, hey, he's got a game show that he can bring up to that joint.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Like
which I won on Tuesday of this week.
So it's they'll let anyone in. I'm just kidding.
All right, so Mr. Brakey, how do you wrap us up? This is your chance to kind of be like, okay, this is what we do. This is how you find me, social media, all that type of stuff, whatever you got going on.
All right, so go to fsp.org. The most important thing you can do is sign up for the weekly newsletter, which I write every single week, and it's the most optimistic libertarian newsletter you're going to get, because we have actual victories to report on, which is very rare for libertarians. So every week there's victories to report on. So you want to get that newsletter, and you won't regret it. This isn't one of those ones you're going to be like, oh, am I still subscribed to this thing? You're going to enjoy reading it every single week. So sign up for that at fsp.org. Then get your tickets to the New Hampshire Liberty Forum. You can go to Amazon.com and you can get my book, the Liberty Candidate's Practical Guide to Door Knocking. Probably those are enough action items to give people, but you can also follow me on X at Eric Brakey, if you would like to do that. You can find the Free State Project there as well.
And my book will be here on Wednesday. I'll be having my book Wednesday.
All right.
And then next week I'll try to do a review for you on the podcast. I'm like, hey, here it is, guys. We'll start a book club.
Eric, Mr. Brakey, the Honorable Mr. Eric Brakey, you said the book was pretty short, so Tubb should be
fine,
able to,
Marcus. Hey, you know what?
She should be able to read it.
Listen, you can say what you want. What do you always say? Put your money where your memes are. I put my money. See, I bought the book. Oh, wait a minute. Never mind, Marcus.
As a true libertarian, I'm going to expect you to take pictures of it.
You don't need to worry about how to door knock.
Well, there's that too.
The only door you knock on is the one when you walk out of the garage, you go to the house, so your wife can let you back in again. That's the only
I always
door you
have my keys in
on.
my pocket for that reason. She has locked me
She
out
locks
before.
you out.
You're too loud.
Yeah. But I want to thank the Honorable Eric Brakey for coming on the one and only libertarian podcast in the entire world. Even though you are leaning libertarian, you have your own podcast. This is the only real libertarian podcast. I don't know what happened with that. But thank you very much. Eric, did you have any closing remarks or anything?
I guess I'll just say, I've been watching this whole time over the other Eric's shoulder, that Appeal to Heaven flag. And I will just say, not everyone knows the history. That Appeal to Heaven flag, that pine tree is on the flag because the pine tree was the symbol of New England liberty in the American Revolution because of Ware, New Hampshire, where the pine tree riot broke out. We are celebrating 250 years of American independence, and it started in New Hampshire with the Pine Tree Riot. And of course, New Hampshire was the first state to declare its independence. Everyone else is gonna celebrate Independence Day on July 4th. We just celebrated our Independence Day in January. New Hampshire declared its independence 6 months before everyone else. The pine tree. We fought for our pine trees, and we're still fighting for our freedom. The live free or die spirit is alive here, and anyway, I see that flag over your shoulder. We take a lot of pride in that flag here in the Free State movement of New Hampshire.
It's a dope flag, cool story to read about.
Yeah, I have it up there too. It's right
hidden by the camouflage.
Yeah, it's hidden. It's hidden right there.
I have family members of people who actually like me.
And
that's few and far between.
Hang on. Before I say that, let me look and see who's actually on the wall, because they might not all really like me.
Yeah, you might have to take some people down.
Yeah, I already did. I took those ones. Already got canceled out.
Parker, you got anything?
Hey, Mr. Honorable Eric Brakey, thanks for coming on and hanging out with us. Thanks for telling us about the book, the Free State Project, and the New Hampshire Liberty Forum. It was an honor to spend this evening with you. Thank you.
Tubb, did I cut you off before you said
No, we're
your
good.
final piece?
I'm good.
Okay.
Mr. Brakey, thank you, sir.
I want to thank everybody who listened and watched today. Eric Brakey is doing a lot of things important to the overall encompassing liberty movement, and we truly appreciate you coming on here. And we always end this with our personal slogan, the one that we came up with, and the one that properly represents the only real libertarian podcast and me, the only real libertarian. It's live free
or die.
Or die.
Can I? Oh, you just basically you're taking our slogan.
That's our we always end this podcast with that slogan.
All right. Well, you're advertising for New Hampshire as you do that. That's our state slogan. And that's the spirit we embody. Well, my personal slogan that I sign off every episode of my show with, so I'm just gonna throw it out there to my final word.
And then we come on his show and close out with our slogan.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, go ahead.
All right. My slogan is, and furthermore, my opinion is the Federal Reserve should be destroyed.
And then click. That's it. And then,
and then it's over. That's how I end every episode.
All right, Eric, we're going to play the outro. Ask you to stick around. It's about 56 seconds so we could say our final piece. This has been the Black Powder Podcast. As this great state of New Hampshire stole from us, live free or die.
Or die.
This is the Black Powder Podcast, coming at you live and direct Your salty tears season my life. It's the Black Powder Podcast.